Welcome to this, the latest in my YouTube videos entitled Rishi Devra, The Fantasy and the Facts. We have a lot of slides to get through, so I'm going to whiz through them, so if you want to look at the detail, please pause the video. It is clear from the 30 plus videos that are up at the moment about Devra Patton West that she is a dangerous psychopath that is aided and abetted by her morally bankrupt accomplices. An educational consultant that had worked with Miss West for a while wrote to the whistleblower and indicated that she had knowledge of Devra West's psychological profile. She maintains that Devra West never got over her severe childhood abuse and hence became the abuser and controller in her own life. She goes on to state that Devra Patton West is psychologically unstable, an opinion shared by the whistleblower who spent 6 months with her in 2002. This opinion is also shared by many of her ex-employees and students who had to deal with Miss West's psychotic episodes on a daily basis. Her behavior since then would seem to bear this out in spades. On the screen now is an email from Jeremy Samuelson, who knew the Wests in the 80s and 90s, and who attests to the fact that Miss West was very strong-willed and manipulative even then, and that she and Jack West had persuaded him to loan them $10,000, which was never repaid. Evidence, if you like, that the Wests had criminal tendencies well before Miss West declared herself to be a minor deity at the beginning of the 90s. On the screen now is an email from Satya. Satya attended the same school, the Robert Jaffe School for Energy Mastery in 1990-1991 that Devra Patton West attended. Satya speaks to the fact that Devra Patton West was a deeply troubled psychopathic personality, and that she was persuaded to give Devra Patton West $6,000 for some scheme that she had invented. Like Jeremy Samuelson, she never saw the money again. Shamanism has been around for hundreds of thousands of years. We have been civilized, apparently, for only a couple of 100 years. I don't have the space here on this video to describe what shamanism is, so I suggest the viewer Google the term and or go to my video number 4 and review how these abilities, working with demonic entities, might be used to manipulate people. So we have a deeply psychotic personality with a desperate need to control and manipulate all the people around her, who has already shown she has criminal tendencies by defrauding 2 people prior to the beginning of the 90s out of tens of thousands of dollars. So combine that mental instability with criminal tendencies with the knowledge she acquired at the Robert Jaffe School for Energy Mastery, and what do you get? You get the same as you do when psychopaths acquire nuclear weapons. They either use them against other people or threaten to use them to get their own way. In past centuries, these people like Devra West who acquire this kind of knowledge, were considered so dangerous that they were put to death. Since their power comes from their ability to go into altered states of consciousness and visit harm, injury, and even death upon others, locking these people up is a waste of time, hence the reason they were put to death. Of course, after 200 or so years of being civilized in the West, everybody's forgotten about these abilities, and Miss West relies upon that fact, and anybody bringing up the fact that she's using these abilities against them is ridiculed and laughed at, even though in other parts of the planet, South America, Africa, and Asia, shamans are accepted as being normal. The next thing Miss West then does is start to use these abilities on all the people around her to thieve, extort, defraud, violently assault and abuse with impunity. In Miss West's case, she collected lots of students, employees into her cult, not to teach them anything, but to have them there as a food source. Either they quickly submitted to her will, or they were fired or expelled. And those who were wealthy were quickly manipulated into making large donations to Miss West's good causes, which is of course herself. Here is an email from Judy Morris, the whistleblower received in 2004, which attests to the fact that West European students were told that the more money they gave her, the closer they would be to God. Those that step out of line, try to tell the truth about her or oppose her, end up being on the receiving end of abuse, character assassinations, threats of murder, psychic attack, and in some cases may end up the victim of a murder plot. And why wouldn't somebody deeply disturbed like Devra West use that weapon to kill people? After all, who's going to find out about it? How are they going to connect it to her? This is why Miss West struts around dressed up as a Greek goddess, not because people love her or she's had anything to offer humanity, but she believes that she holds sway over the lives of those around her, which makes her a superior being and everybody else a serf. Details of Miss West's criminal excesses appeared in a couple of news articles that were published in July and August of 2007. One of her wealthy students, a local doctor, had $1.3 million extorted from her after a campaign of premeditated violence that was designed to intimidate her into handing over her entire net worth to Miss West, and that's exactly what happened. Anyone taking even a cursory glance at Miss West's business model can see that it is basically a cult into which people are collected. They are put through a grinder, if you like, and converted into cash. It's as simple as that. Miss West is a prolific liar. You can tell when she's lying, her lips are moving, and it doesn't change when she's in court. She perjures herself all the time. When in court on July 12, 2007, acting as a witness for her son, she was asked about all of her ex-employees and students who were appearing on the whistleblower's website alleging they had been mentally and physically abused by Miss West. When the court asked her about this, she said, "Oh no, these people are fictitious, it's all fabricated." Well, on the screen now is a list of these fictitious and fabricated employees that Miss West was referring to, who are actually real employees and real students of Miss West. When asked in court if her business was a multi-billion-dollar enterprise, Miss West responded correct. And yet only 3 weeks later, on August 9th, in the Big Four Eagle, it became apparent that a number of Miss West businesses had been involuntarily dissolved, one was involuntarily revoked, and that she had a lien against her for $2,287 for unpaid unemployment taxes for her Montana employees. Hardly the actions of a multi-billionaire, but totally the actions of a criminal and a compulsive liar. On the screen now are more excerpts from the Whitefish Pilot news article, which speaks to the fact that while Miss West was using photographs on her website and in her brochures of somebody else's multi-million-dollar home, pretending it was her own, in reality she was being evicted from 2 rental properties in quick succession. Back in court on the 12th of July as a witness for her son, she was asked whether she had assaulted Dr. Cole, and of course Miss West says, "No way, absolutely not, no way." She gave that response even though 15 months earlier, on the 17th of April 2006, the day after she'd assaulted Dr. Cole, she wrote to her entire mailing list admitting that she had assaulted Dr. Cole and that the assault was severe. On the screen now, excerpts from 2 statements from witnesses who saw Miss West violently assaulting 2 other women inside her cult. As with all other dictators, Miss West would not last 5 minutes without the consent and cooperation from others around her, the senior members of her cult. The liars for hire, the miscreants, the lowlifes, the bottom feeders that not only tell lies to cover up Miss West's criminality, they actually market her to the public in the hope of trapping other human beings who they know will end up as victims of theft, fraud, extortion, and/or violent assault. In my previous YouTube videos 17A and 17B, we take a closer look at the role of liar for hire Jeffrey Reynolds. In my YouTubes 18A and 18B, we looked at the role of ex-husband and long-term partner in crime Jack West. And then in 19A and 19B, we looked at the role of Dr. Julio Williams, MD. As I said earlier, these creatures know what Miss West is up to. They know all about her criminality, and yet they agree to participate in this criminal conspiracy with her. They all know about the sheriff's sale Miss West was forced to be the subject of in 2008, brought about by the courts to force Miss West to pay her creditors $2 million in court judgments and interest. They all knew about the assault on Dr. Cole, MD. They all lied about it. They all issued false statements on Miss West's website, but they all knew about it. They all knew Miss West was the subject of an arrest warrant for criminal check fraud in 2008. They all knew that John Watson, a former consultant in 2002, had filed a fraud lawsuit against Miss West, which he won in 2008. They all knew about that, too. They all knew about Miss West's arrest warrant for felony theft in 2009. So what did they all do when Miss West, forced out of Montana through bad publicity and multiple visits to court for fraud-related lawsuits, what did they all do when she moved down to Arizona to reincarnate herself as the ascended master Rishi Devra? What did they all do? Well, like the rent-a-liars, bottom feeders and scumbags that they are, what they did was all started to market Rishi Devra to the population in Arizona. Here's a quote from Reynolds' social media posting. Rishi Devra has been guiding me for many years. I am honored that she allows me to help her global awakening move forward. Gag. And here is Williams. 14 years I have witnessed her illumination in the thick of everyday life, as well as the astounding beauty and power of her teachings. Gag. And Jack West, 30-year accomplice and ex-husband of Miss West, she remains as utterly free of wrongdoing and as ethically virtuous as any human being can be. Gag. As it says on the screen above, if you tell a lie big enough and keep repeating it, people will eventually come to believe it. Of course, if anyone points out West's criminality and all the lies that they're telling, they all turn round and say, we're not crooks, it's the truthers that are the crooks. Please be sure to like my YouTube video and please help me make it go viral. Thank you for watching.